Hello, I'm John Carroll. Welcome to this episode of Personally Branded. Now, in previous episodes we've talked about the various issues around creating your personal brand, developing your personal brand, and getting an understanding of your personal brand. And I guess understanding is really the crucial word here because, as I've said a number of times, you already have a personal brand. It's not that you're creating something new. It's already there. It's just taking what you've got, understanding it, refining it, and maintaining it in the way in which you want it to be seen by yourself and by other people. The key to that really, I guess, is how you maintain it. Because we've worked through things like defining what your purpose is, what gives you meaning and drive in life. We've worked through your perceptions of yourself and perceptions of how other people see you. And we've spoken a little bit about how you project yourself to other people, how you promote yourself to other people. But I guess the key here is how do you maintain that on an ongoing basis? And I think that's really crucial. I think that one of the problems that so many of us have in life, one of the issues we face is that our life keeps getting off track. We perhaps go to seminars, we listen to DVDs, we get involved in personal development or self-help programs, or we get motivational speakers in at our workplace, whatever it may be. But we very seldom actually implement any of that work and those ideas that we get out of those sessions. And I think the critical thing about that is that if you don't actually implement, if you don't apply what it is that you've heard, you don't actually do that on a consistent basis, really, it's all going to be wasted. So I think I'd like to give you today a number of tools, a few little tips that can help you to do that. The first tip, I think, is to firstly just to take the time to think about where you're going, what's meaningful to you, what are you doing in your life at this stage that is working for you, what's not working, what can you do so that things work better. Work through this process we've been through in the previous episodes of Personally Branded and keep working through those, keep reviewing them at least once per year, but preferably more often than that. Just think it through. It doesn't have to take long, it maybe take 15 minutes just to glance back through some notes. Say, this is where I'm going. The way to see it is like an aeroplane. If you think about an aeroplane that's flying, for example, across the Atlantic Ocean, the pilots, once they've taken off, and probably nowadays when they have taken off, I don't know, I'm not a pilot, but what they do is they put the plane on autopilot. But the interesting thing about an autopilot is the autopilot doesn't actually just put the plane on a particular heading, a particular course, and leave it there. It doesn't do that. What the autopilot actually does is it keeps making minor adjustments to the plane. So as the plane drifts on track, it directs it back onto track. As it drifts off the other way, it directs it back onto track. As wind forces and currents, wind currents and air currents drift it off course or up or down or whatever it may be, the autopilot guides it back on course. So the plane is effectively doing a bit of a zigzag over the ocean. That's what your life's like. Because I can tell you, and you will know this, things are not going to remain smooth. Things are not always going to head in the right direction. Curveballs are going to be thrown at you. Circumstances are going to change. And you have to keep your life on track. So view it like an aeroplane. View it like you're the autopilot of your life. Make sure that you know what your direction is. If you know what your purpose is, what drives you, what gives you meaning, what sort of things broadly give you that, you can keep directing yourself back on track so you keep living those things. An interesting way to do that, I think, is to view your life as a series of projects. And I believe you should always have 1 or 2 or 3 projects on the go. Now, I'm not talking about tiny little things, although you can start with those. Those are good steps. But I'm talking about fairly major projects. If you want to change your entire career path, for example, you may need to gain extra qualifications. So that is a project. Focus on that. Make sure that you do that on a regular basis. You're looking at that. You're reviewing your progress towards it. You're making sure you're staying on track towards that project. And then that project, in turn, keeps you on track towards your overall direction in life. So view your life as a project and always have a project or a number of projects on the go. Not too many, because if you have too many, of course, you're going to be torn in a number of different directions, you're not going to achieve too much, or you're going to achieve too little in all of them, and you're not going to feel the fulfillment from actually achieving and fulfilling those projects. So those are 2 key ways to do it. Now, the problem with it is, all of us are busy, and we seem to be getting busier and busier. I like Stephen Covey. If you know of Stephen Covey, he's the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I like his way of viewing this. he views life in terms of a time management matrix. You can't actually manage time, of course. All you can manage is yourself, and there's a subtle difference there. So if you want to manage yourself, what you need to do is make sure that what you're doing is not always just the urgent stuff. If you spend your life running from urgent task to urgent task to urgent task, it means that you're not taking the time to plan what you're doing. As Stephen Covey says, spend life in quadrant 2. Go and have a look at Stephen Covey. If you Google Stephen Covey and time management matrix, I'm sure this will come up for you. But if you view life as a quadrant of things that are important or not important, urgent and not urgent, where you want to spend your life is not in the section of things that are urgent and important. Because once they become urgent, you have to do them now. And that means you're not doing the planning work. Where you want to spend your life is what Stephen Covey calls quadrant 2, which is things that are important but not urgent. And things like planning fall slap bang in that quadrant. So it's important that you plan where you're heading in life. It's important that you plan your projects. It's important that you plan what you have coming up. But if you do it ahead of time, and you make sure that you're working towards those projects ahead of time, you're not just scrambling to get them done on deadline day, then you'll find your life is less of a scramble, and you're not working in quadrant 1, which is urgent and important. So that's a really good tip. You want to see your life as being planned and orderly so that you're always working towards things. A good way to do that is not to do a daily to-do list. I know that's a standard thing you hear in time management workshops. You should do your to-do list. You should do your to-do list, prioritize it, and then work through the priorities one by one from most important to least important. And while I'm all in favor of to-do lists, I think they're great, I think you should do your to-do list by the week. And what works on a weekly basis for your to-do list is your list of projects that you have. So list down your projects, and every week, I do this late on a Friday afternoon, or if I don't manage to get that first thing on a Monday morning, I will look through my project list and I will decide which projects I need to work on during that week, and I'll schedule some time in my calendar to actually work on those projects. I make meetings with myself and I block out time in my calendar. And if someone else wants a meeting with me, well, that's fine, but not at times that I've scheduled out for myself, unless the circumstances are really exceptional. So if you plan weekly and you know every week what's important to you in terms of your project list, and then every day you have a look at your weekly list and you decide what you need to do that day, what's in your calendar, what have you planned out, which sections of time have you chunked out of your calendar to work on a particular project, you will actually get those projects done. Of course, you need to leave time around those chunks of self-meeting time. You need to leave time around that for other things that come in and happen, because our life, as I said, does not run smoothly. Things do happen. Urgent things do come up, and you need time to deal with them. So don't block out every 15 minutes of your day. Leave some gap time. A project that you're working on may take longer than you think in a particular session. Leave time for that. Leave time to answer emails, to take phone calls, to respond to these urgent requests that come in, kids that need things done, colleagues that need things done, bosses who come in and dump extra work on you at the last minute. Leave a bit of time so you can handle those as well. But make sure that you have your calendar mapped out on a weekly basis, and then look at your to-do list on your weekly list daily. So you look at your weekly list daily and determine each day what you're going to do towards achieving your weekly list. Don't just plan daily, because if you just plan daily, you're reacting to urgent events. And then your to-do list simply gets longer and longer. I know we've all felt that. So those are just a few tips that I think can really help. See your life as heading in a direction. Know what direction you're heading in. That comes out of working through your purpose, your meaning, your drive, your sense of perception of yourself and the perception others have of you. So see the direction that you're heading in. Know what direction you're heading in a broad sense. Work like an autopilot to keep pushing yourself back on track as you drift off track, or as life circumstances push you off track. Always have projects or a number of projects on the go, but not too many, enough that you can cope with. Don't swamp yourself and drown yourself. You can't do everything all at once. And plan weekly. plan weekly. Have a to-do list prioritized on a weekly basis, and then look at that daily and schedule time in your calendar for yourself to achieve those projects. It works. It really works. If you can do that and you have the self-discipline to maintain that sort of basic structure in your life, you will accomplish amazing things. You will not believe how much you get done. It's really worth it. Give it a go. I'm John Carroll. Thank you for being with me. I'll see you next week on Personally Branded.